Computer science. Is it important for it to be expanding throughout the K-12 space? Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leena Saleh, the Edtech Guru, where we explore all things EdTech and education related. All right, let's do this. A lot of times when I talk with teachers or industry leaders, the first thing that they'll tell me is they don't have a budget for computer science, something that's being cut quite regularly and steadily from the curriculum. A couple of different things are reasons for why that happens. One, it's not a tested subject. Two, there are not enough teachers that have a background in computer science to teach the program. Three, they haven't really understood quite yet how computer science skills really will support students' other learning throughout all of the other content areas. And number four, they are not understanding computer science is an essential new 21st century skill. Although we know that they are 21st century timeless skills tied into computer science, there are not that many schools teaching computer science. A lot of schools, even at the middle school and high school levels, still have not adopted computer science. What we do know is that 90% of parents want their child to study computer science because it is not just a hot button. It is actually the truth and reality of the world that we live in. It's turning way more technical. If we think about just using a Google Jamboard, it is using AI tools to predict the shape you're going to be drawing. So it's really pushing itself into all aspects of our lives. But do you know that of that, only 45% of high schools actually teach computer science? And that 67% of all new jobs in STEM are computing, but only 11% of people come out of getting their bachelor's degrees in computer science. Pretty low number in comparison with the jobs that are available for our students. Also, what we see is that in computer science, it's predominantly not a very diverse space. We don't see a lot of women, we don't see a lot of people of color. It's just not very diverse. Obviously, there's a couple of reasons for why. A lot of people didn't know what computer science was. There's no push to have female students within computer science, but that doesn't mean that we can't continue to push for that. A lot of students will say that they really enjoy doing computer science. It's a time that they can thrive, they can create, gives them really adaptable skill sets. And by opening the window sooner in the elementary level school sets, by giving students the opportunity to take computer science, you're then going to see that trickle throughout. Nobody takes risks in middle school, and most definitely nobody takes risks in high school with taking new courses where you know you're not going to thrive when you need those scores to get into college, even though that's changing as we see. The thing about computer science is it really is an essential skill set for students to have. It really does teach them how to be adaptable. It teaches them how to collaborate with one another, especially if you have an error in your code or you're creating a project or maybe you're creating a game together. It really creates authentic feedback as well. Like, oh, hey, your game isn't really working this way because you have an error here, or maybe you can improve upon this. So it also gives them the ability to have those feedback loops. Here's what's going on, here's what's happening. So they're able to really improve upon their failure and really highlight failure in a very positive way. Some things that students learn within doing computer science is abstracting, creating a model to basically solve a problem. They also will work on using the resources that they have and just being able to break down a problem into smaller tasks, which I've talked about before. Also, the algorithmic thinking, how I'm going to make the steps to solve this problem. That's always really essential skill set in any content area. And then also just figuring out the debugging. So understanding that maybe your instructions aren't really going as thoroughly as we would like them to go. And once you get into the high school level, then you really start thinking about the abstract, really logical, representing data, problem-solving skills to really design the algorithms now, and then also to program them. There's also calculations happening, the ability to execute programs, and then collaborating. And then some other things that are starting to be highlighted in those are also understanding privacy and data security. So really understanding that you do create a digital footprint. What does it look like? And what are some things that you have to look out for? So computer science does a lot of things, and a lot of times the reason for this is that there is no tested subject of computer science. Why do you want to use computer science if it isn't a tested subject? How do we understand that students have reached a competency within that CS subject? A lot of teachers don't know. Another hindrance is that we don't have a lot of computer science teachers, especially in the elementary and middle school levels. If you have a CTE program, then you typically have a computer science teacher that comes in. A lot of schools that have computer science programs, I can tell you this firsthand from the work that I do, that a lot of times their computer classes consist of PowerPoint, Microsoft, Excel spreadsheets. Not that those aren't important skills, but with the rise of YouTube, do you need to teach somebody how to open up a Microsoft Word document and save it? I can find that in 5 minutes and find a YouTube video. It's really about the assessment and the data and the problem solving that's involved when you work through building something in computer science. So giving that foundational skill set. So it's gonna be important. Hopefully colleges are thinking about how can we implement CS into what it is that we're doing for teacher preparation programs. It's an essential skill. We know that the jobs are only increasing in computer science and technology. We need people to help run the robots. We need people with those skill sets because as our world progresses, we're going to start to see a shift in just how the world works. We're already seeing it with cashierless stores, driverless cars. All of those things are taking the place of people doing those skills, but we need to be strong in the skills on the other side to help those resources. And so the job capacity for things in computers is not going to decrease. So we need to be able to fill those jobs. And right now there just really isn't enough people to fill the jobs for which we need to run the programs and things that we currently are watching, things like Netflix. Everything is based solely around some sort of computer type technology skill set that we are looking at progressing ourselves well beyond the next 5 to 10 years. Highlighting computer science in a younger grade level is also going to be essential for really creating the interest level for students. If you start later, it's really hard to captivate the students and really get their interest in what it is unless you're doing some gamification. What's really nice about CS education, and we can look at Marina Bear's Scratch Junior, that you can really do computer science at a young age without having a computer. If you read her book, she states in the book that she just gives kids tablets at a really young age, and they are just so intuitive and they don't care if they fail 1,000 times. They keep trying until they get it. If you think about a little baby learning how to walk, they don't just stop trying to walk because they don't get it the first time. They keep trying new and inventive ways. They don't have as much understanding of failure that we start to feel as adults. We're so fearful of failing. We don't try new things. As younger kids, they don't have that. They're excited to try new things. Who cares if they don't get it right the first time? You know, putting the shapes in the right hole until finally they figure out like, oh, this one matches with this. They just keep trying. And they're more readily available to do, you know, building with Legos and things like that. The older they get, the more they start to feel that they're in different kinds of categories, just like peer professions. So it's important to really develop that. And what you'll start to see, and lots of research has proved this, when students work through computer science processes and even the concepts, they're able to better relate it to what it is that they're doing in other content areas. It actually makes them stronger because they have this basically problem-solving skill set that they can now apply to other content areas within their lives. So having an expanding computer science is a really, really, really big essential in the progression of moving forward with technology. Because COVID-19 has really disrupted the way that we're learning and the way that students are interacting, a lot of times people think that computer science has to be taught in person. However, there are some different ways that you can teach computer science in distance learning. So a lot of that is with the communication and collaboration. Typically, when you're working one-on-one, you can have students interacting together. However, you can find a computer science exercise, whether you take it from code.org, CodeMonkey, Tinker, wherever you're taking it from, and you take a screenshot of it and you put it up. You have students working with a piece of paper and a pencil, and maybe they're putting arrows or whatever it is within the program that you're using. They can then record themselves using Flipgrid or recording themselves, you know, via Zoom or however it is, sharing how they would solve that problem. problem. So now you're doing the computer science unplugged, but kind of sort of plugged in a way, kind of give them that thinking process. Another way to integrate that is if you're solving an exercise offline is have them write it out in steps. The first thing we do is we walk 5. Then we turn left. So they're writing a procedural text actually. So now you're integrating more things than just the one simple task. Another way that I've had them do that is they can create their own puzzle. So once you've done something like that, then they create their own puzzle and you say, hey, create it on a Jamboard. Each person in the classroom gets their own paper, white paper in the Jamboard, and now they can then create an activity. You give them the components that they need to have. It needs to be able to have at least 5 steps, 5 algorithmic steps. It needs to rotate at least one time. You need to have an object that's blocking the path. You can have them do that and then have them create, maybe using the sticky notes or drawing with the shapes or something like that. And then you're also creating the innovation and the creativity, and then also having them, write it out. And then what you'll do is you'll issue a peer review for another student to solve it and write out their steps. And that's just going to be important. Then what they'll then do is another way to do that is, instead of the peer review, is taking that puzzle, giving a student a random puzzle, and then having them work it out through Flipgrid. So they're recording themselves as they're going, and then they can upload it to the student for which they did their own coding exercise. So now you're having lots of different components and lots of different steps to kind of tie that into what it is that you're doing, and then have the students record their video response, like, this went really well, this didn't go so well, here's some adjustments that I had to make. And so that you're kind of having the debugging process in another piece. Another thing I want to mention is I have been seeing a lot within parent groups of their comments on computer science and why students should learn computer science, and we're pushing too much on students. The thing about computer science that I think a lot of people really just don't understand is computer science really is a language. It's learning a new language. It's like learning to read, and the younger you are, the more you're able to thrive. When you're a young baby, you can learn multiple different languages. When you're an adult, it takes much longer for you to learn that language. It's important to think about it in that manner, and that it's really going to improve the language processing and just the different skills that are involved with learning a new language. Not to mention, will also give students the ability to really understand where errors exist and why this didn't work, and the importance of spelling, and just different things like that are tied into that. And also, I really think it's important when students are doing offline, remote type of learning is that they're able to record it. So if you don't want them to record it online, having them use a pen and a piece of paper to write out how they solved it is really important. It keeps them accountable. You know that they did it by themselves, and it's also giving them kind of a record. So doing vocabulary work is really important. And what we find is that although unplugged activities don't make students better coders, it does give them better vocabulary. It does give them more confidence and self-efficacy in solving those problems. Computer science is going to be something that is going to be continuously brought into the forefront. It's moving so slowly with its adoption that we're going to be in trouble, that we're not filling the jobs that we need to be filling with this. So think about, how can I integrate computer science into the other content areas that I have? If you're not sure about some different workshops and things that you can take, there are so many great Facebook groups that I will actually link below that you can join just to talk about computer science, talk about educational technology, vet those resources with teachers, just different things like that. But computer science, I want you to think about it, does not have to be solved peer-to-peer, like in person. You can actually learn how to do computer science virtually. There are virtual coding boot camps for other people. So there's ways to do computer science unplugged, and you're really going to start to see that students will think deeper and have a better skill set to solve problems in all other content areas. As always, if you have any questions, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. I always want to hear what you have to say. And until next time, we'll see ya. Bye-bye. Once again, I want to thank you so much for following along on this journey. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And until next time, bye.